So, today we're going to learn how to dress a rectangle. Body shape, that is. And I am Marissa, your resident rectangle. Come on in. Hey Lovebugs, welcome back to my channel. I am Marissa Vaughn, and this is a place where we love God, we love ourselves, and we love others. For anyone that may be new here, my channel is all about being the intersection between faith and fashion. So we're going to serve Jesus, but we're going to serve a look as well. And in today's video, it's going to be all about how to style a rectangle body shape. So to start off, I'm just going to kind of give you an idea of what my current measurements is so you can have that as a point of reference. So my height is 5'3", I'm 5'3". My bust measures at 35.6 inches. My hips measure at 38.2 inches. My waist measures at 30.9 inches. So because of those measurements, I am classified as a rectangle. So in order to kind of figure out your classification, for women, they'll look at bust, waist, and hips. And for men, you'll look at shoulders, waist, and hips. And that is how you'll be able to classify what those measurements are. What I did is I just took a measuring tape, measured myself, and put it into a body calculator. And it told me that I was indeed a rectangle. And if I'm being honest, that was honestly surprising because I had some ideas of what I thought a rectangle would look like, and when we think of rectangle, oftentimes it's interchanged with straight, and I'm like, I'm not really straight. I do got some little curves, a little definition, a little meat on my bones, but rectangle just really means that your measurements are in close proximity, right? So you are considered well proportioned, your weight distributes evenly, that kind of thing. And so because of that, and my measurements all are within, honestly, inches of each other, I'm not extremely drastic. You're not looking at like a 20, 30, and then a 40, right? This big jump. And so because of that, I am a rectangle. Another thing that I want to make sure that we add to the conversation is understanding that when it comes to what classifies your body type, they're looking at your horizontal measurement. So that is the width across your bust, across your waist, and across your hips. But one of the things that I think we have to talk about is your vertical proportions as well. So when we're talking about your torso and your legs. So for me, I'm someone with a short torso and long legs. So a lot of my length, even though it's not that much because I'm only 5'3", a lot of my length is in my legs. And so those are things that you have to keep in mind when styling your body as well. So upon doing my research, I did not find a lot of people of color represented in the conversation as it pertained to styling a rectangle body shape. And so it was very important to me to be able to have representation in all areas. And so some celebrities that I want to highlight that do have a rectangle body shape that are people of color that we can consider to the conversation are Zendaya, Shay Mitchell, Coy Leroy, Sierra, Serena Williams, Jada Pinkett Smith, Chandra Wilson, Anita Baker, Joan Smalls, Queen Latifah, Jill Scott, and Octavia Spencer, just to name some of the ones that I was able to find, right? And one of the things that I found very refreshing about that was these are women who all have different sizes. Some of them are considered slender, some of them are considered thick, some of them are considered plus size, yet they all are categorized as a rectangle. And when you see that, it's like, okay, that makes a lot more sense to add it, because I feel like the conversation around rectangle body shape leans towards a lot more people that do not have a lot of waist definition, do not really have any curves, and are known as very slender and straight individuals. But to be able to look at these women who do have curves and do got some meat on their bones and they collard greens and cornbread fed just like me, it opened my eyes to really be able to see and gain more understanding as to this is how we look, this is how wide this body type classification actually is, and to see that representation and to be able to draw inspiration from women that look like me and look like people that are related to me. That meant so much. And so now we're going to kind of get into how to actually dress for your body type. When it comes to styling, there's something that we see a lot, and it is, so especially as a rectangle, and it is going to be surrounded by define your waist. Define the waist, define the waist, define the waist. Like, that is something that I see so much of. And why you begin to research and kind of be like, why is that such a big push? It's connected to the fact that the hourglass figure is the most desirable, it's the most appealing, is the one that is seen as the perfect figure. And so someone with a rectangle would just be instructed to define the waist, because oftentimes what rectangles are known to lack, if you will, is waist definition. And so being able to define the waist to add a little bit more structure and curve appeal is why it's always so pushed to define the waist. But I think above all else, you have to figure out how it is that you want to present in your clothes. How do you want to look? What are those features that you want to accentuate? Because if we're honest, you may not want to accentuate your waist. You may want to accentuate other features. And if you know that for yourself, to know, hey, that's not what I want to accentuate, then it's going to make your day-to-day getting dressed easier. And what you are going to classify as your personal style is going to make you figure that out a bit more, because maybe you don't want to do that. You don't want things that necessarily define your waist. So we're having a conversation about waist definition. Things that you want to consider is, of course, anything that has ties, elastic, anything that is structured, so it kind of already brings in some type of definition. Belts are going to be your best friend. I love a belt. I am a belt person, but I know that there are people that are not. If you have items that already have like some type of tie or something that's going to kind of bring you in and give you some shape, those are going to be the best things for it. Everyone's personal style is different. And so those are some things that you have to keep in mind. But above all, and I said this in my Style It Up series that I did further back on my channel, I will link that series up in the card so that you can watch it. But one of the things that I highlight about that is, in order to find your personal style, there are two things that you first have to identify for yourself. And that is how you want to feel in your clothes and how you want to look in your clothes, right? When we're talking about feeling, we're talking about how do you want to feel when the clothes are on you internally. How do you want to feel? I know for me, one of the biggest words that come up is comfort. I want to feel comfortable in my clothes. I want to feel confident in my clothes. And then you have to figure out how you want to present. So that's more so around the aesthetic. You might want streetwear. You might want edgy. You might want feminine. You might want classic or chic, right? You might like the like boho. You might like those kinds of things. Like, that's where you're like, okay, that's how I want to present. That's the aesthetic that I want to fall into. Like, you have to figure out what it is, that the adjective that you want to attach to how you feel in your clothes. Play with different cuts and silhouettes and shapes of clothes to kind of figure out what you like, right? Look at the fit of those clothes. One of the best things to do is, even before you even consider shopping, consider those pieces that you already have in your wardrobe that you love, that make you feel how you want to feel in your clothes, and it aligns with how you want to present in your clothes, right? Start there. Figure out what those pieces are. Figure out what you love about those pieces. And those pieces that you never reach for, why don't you reach for it? Is it a color thing? Is it a silhouette thing? Is it how it fits? What is it? Is it the material? Is it too itchy? Is it not comfy? Like, pay attention to those details, and one, get those things out of your wardrobe. If you know that there are things that you are not reaching for, you do not wear, go ahead and get them out of your wardrobe and stick to those pieces that you love and that aligns with how you want to feel and how you want to present, right? And so once you do that, you can already have an idea of those cuts and silhouettes that you already like. Pay attention to things that you keep. So if they have prints on them, if they have certain materials that you tend to love, if they have certain details that kind of create interest. Another thing to consider is color. When it comes to color, I recently learned how big of a role color can play. Dark colors minimize, so they draw attention away from something. And so say if you want to make your legs maybe appear smaller, you'll wear dark colors on the bottom, whereas light colors maximize, so they draw attention towards. So if you want to accentuate something, you may wear a light color in that area. So say if you want to accentuate your top and maybe your bust area, you will wear a lighter color. And it's like, wow, those are some details that like I personally never thought of, right? These are details that we have to consider, right? And so when it comes to figuring things out, those are things to keep in mind. Pay attention to prints and making sure that there's an alignment, right? So if you are someone on the slender side, you may want to lean towards smaller prints because it aligns more with your proportions. If you're slender, you're not very top heavy, you're not very bottom heavy, versus someone that might be a more plus size, meat on their bones kind of rectangle, right? Who might want to lean towards larger prints. Based upon some of the research that I found, here are just some things that we can consider when it comes to picking out pieces that have been deemed as flattering. One of the things that I've learned when it comes to anything that is on top, anything that adds volume, something that adds volume. I love things with shoulder pads, or they have like a poof shoulder sleeve situation going on. I love those types of things. If you are trying to draw attention to your bust area, something that you want to keep in mind is those necklines, right? So looking at necklines like a scoop neckline or a V neckline, a sweetheart neckline, off the shoulder, these are things to consider that can work. Now, if you want to do high necklines that are a bit more narrow, you can do like turtlenecks and halters, those crew necks. Like you can find those types of necklines that work. Now, one of the things that I saw that I don't personally agree with is stay away from square necklines. And I think this is one of those situations where I get why they say it, because rectangles are considered already boxy. But I think it depends on like your size, not just your body type. I think it depends on your size, because I am a rectangle who is not actually straight. Like I do have some meat on my bone. And so I do believe that a square neckline can be beneficial for someone that is a bit more bustier. If you are someone that is flat chested, I think that it will probably make you look a lot more flat. But I do believe that it depends kind of on your actual body size, not just your type. And that is just my belief. As someone who is a rectangle, I find square necks actually very flattering on me, and they are a neckline that I've actually gotten compliments on. So other people have said, oh, you look nice. Like, oh, I like that. I like that top on you. It looks really good. It suits you. And so I think that those are things that have to be considered as well. I don't think that we should automatically just write things off because they say so. So I think it's one of those things where you really do have to kind of just test and see what works for you, because I have found square necklines to actually be very flattering on me. So that is just something I think that is important to keep a part of the conversation, right? Some things that you can consider when it comes to adding some shape is how you style your sleeves. So having them rolled up, having them puffed, having them flared, having them cuffed. Those are things that you can add to the sleeves to add some kind of like volume and dimension to your look. Now, once again, another thing that I saw in research was do not do fitted straight sleeves. I do fitted straight sleeves all the time, and I don't think that it takes anything away from the look. But I also am intentional about proportions and how I balance it. So something that I saw that really threw me off in my research was this whole idea about not tucking like your tops into your bottom, so like either your trousers or your skirts, because it adds more attention to your waist, and that's not what you want as a rectangle. It was something so interesting, but baby, I don't care. I know for me, I'm gonna tuck in. Now, what I think that is beneficial if you are someone that does not want like too much bulk, or you're trying to go for like something very slimming and classic or chic or pulled together, and you don't want like too much bulk in whatever your bottoms is, either your skirt or your pants, then I would always encourage a bodysuit. A bodysuit is always going to be beneficial for that, because I feel like bodysuits are naturally very, very slimming. So it makes it very appealing. But baby, I'm gonna tuck. I'm always gonna tuck. If I want to tuck, I'm gonna tuck. Like, I don't know what to tell you. And I think that there is a way to do it that can work. I don't think this whole idea of just completely do away with it is actually realistic. I don't believe that it's something that you automatically just have to write off. I think it really is just a case-by-case basis. Now, do I enjoy a nice puff sleeve? Most definitely. A sleeve with a little drama, I do naturally love it. However, I'm not gonna get rid of my slim sleeves, like my long sleeve shirts that have a slim sleeve. I'm not just gonna get rid of them. So you have to kind of just figure out what works for you. And if you already feel like it does not add to you, then don't wear it. However, I do believe it's one of those things that is also a case-by-case basis. In the next section, we're going to talk about jackets and coats. So one thing that is highlighted about jackets is not getting anything that like stops immediately at your waist, anything that's too boxy. So being mindful of like crop styles and where they hit, as well as any of your tops. Being mindful of like where those things hit as it relates to your proportions, and especially leaning towards coats, making sure you're leaning towards things that are a bit more long line. So some things to keep in mind as it pertains to like style of these items are things, of course, that have shoulder pads, that have a shoulder pad or some type of shoulder detail, like a poof or something like that. Peplum style, anything that is structured, anything that has a belt to it, anything that is like just straight and it doesn't cut you off too much, anything that's double-breasted, trench coat style, pea coat styles, wrap coats, as well as anything duster, jackets, or coats related are very beneficial and effective to the rectangle body shape. Now, while speaking of bottoms, be it trousers or jeans, specifically like your pants, you always want to do things that add some curves and add some value. So some of the cuts that have been deemed as flattering are boot cut, wide leg, cargo. If we're talking about trousers, if we're going into jeans, thinking about skinny, slim, straight cut, boot cut, wide leg. Those are some very flattering silhouettes for a rectangle body shape. If it has any additional details like pockets, like nice cool pockets, pleats, those are always great details to have on your pants. Now, some things that you want to consider when you're talking about skirts, it's kind of looking at fullness. So like pleated skirts are a great example, layered skirts, pencil skirts, and A-line skirts, but that have value, because sometimes you can get A-line skirts that are very like, or you can get skirts that are very boxy. Making sure that you have some that add some value, and at least if they're going to be form-fitting or like a pencil skirt, they're going to kind of accentuate that curve, those curves, to give you more shape, right? So here's the thing. Go back to What is it that you want to accentuate? What are those features about your body that you want to accentuate? The fact of the matter is, though society may say that the hourglass is the perfect figure, everybody don't want to necessarily look like a Coca-Cola bottle, but they do want to feel good in their skin. And you have to figure out what that is for you. So nothing I'm saying is law. Please receive me when I say that. Nothing that I'm saying is law. Treat me like a fish. Take the meat and leave the bones. Take what works for you and leave anything else that does not work. I saw to avoid like high-waisted items and lean only towards low or mid-rise items. You might find a few mid-rise bottoms, but baby, you are not finding no low-rise bottoms anywhere in my wardrobe. And I think it's one of those things that goes back to preferences. And that's why it has to be a well-rounded conversation. We can't just talk about the horizontal proportions without talking about the vertical proportions, because what I've learned is, as someone with a short torso, low rise don't feel good on me. It don't look good on me, and because of how I'm shaped, it just does not work. So I do lean towards high rise, and it adds that more waist definition that I love, right? Into our last section, Rich is really just talking about the dresses and the jumpsuits. Once again, pushing that detail about waist definition. Things to consider is wrap dresses, princess style dresses, X-line dresses, anything that has some ruching, anything that has fit and flare to it. Those are things that you want to factor in. There are times I'm going to wear boxy. There are times that I'm going to wear things that do not add this whole definition detail, and I still feel confident and comfortable in it. I still feel chic. I still get compliments. I'm still told how I look good. And so it really is more so about how you style it and what aligns with, once again, those 2 points, how you feel and how you want to present. That is what is the most important. So keep those things in mind. I do hope that this video was helpful, but above all else, I want you to figure it out for yourself and what works for you, right? Now, if you are someone who is at the beginning of their personal style journey and you're trying to figure out what you like and what you don't like, start in your own closet, right? That is first things first. Start in your own closet, figure out those pieces that you already own that work and do not work, and analyze and assess why they do or do not work. What are the things that you love? Sometimes you have to look at the shape, how it fits on you, the cut of things, the fabric, the color, right? Sometimes you may not like something because it's too itchy, right? Or it's too tight on you, it doesn't fit right. You might not like the color. These are things to consider as to why you do or do not wear something. When you think about your favorite pieces, those pieces that you constantly pull for and you would wear every single day if you could, what is it about that piece that you love? And you can then figure out from there what works for you. There are some things while doing this research that I aligned with, and I'm like, oh, I'm already doing that. Those are things that I already love, so I would agree with that. But then there's some things where it was like, oh, these are do not do these things. And I'm sitting here like, baby, I do them and I get compliments and I feel good in them, and I'm going to continue to do them. So it is not a one size fits all for any of us. And so I just want you to be encouraged in that on this personal journey. Like, you have to figure out what works for you and what you like and what you feel good and what is going to align with your personal style and your personal aesthetic, how you want to feel and present in this world. So please, above all, just be encouraged. This journey is one that we are all on, right? And you're ever changing, you're ever evolving. Even if you are someone who has found their personal style and you know it, you got it, you've been living in it, you're comfortable, you got that thing going on. I promise you, if you have not already, you're going to go through an evolution. that is going to have you reevaluate your style. It's just inevitable. And so that's where some of us are. Some of us are really just new and trying to figure it out and figuring out what our personal style is. And so wherever you are on the spectrum, just be encouraged. And once again, treat me like a fish, baby. Take the meat and leave the bones. That's it for now. So if you made it to the end of this video, please leave a comment saying 3 words that you would use to describe your personal style. I really love to hear from you all. So go ahead and sign off in the comments to let me know what are the words that you would use to describe your personal style, how you want to feel and how you want to present in this world. Until next time, remember that I love you, God loves you, and remember to always, always love you too.